How often do you think about the Oscars? I mean, really think about the Oscars. I know we all think about them for like 3 months at the start of the year when the race is actually on, but like, how often do you actually think about how many movies have won an Oscar? It's over 1,000 at this point, over 1,050 actually. They range in genre from sci-fi to horror to drama to comedy to drama to romance to drama to Jesus Christ. There's so many dramas, you guys. You don't even know. And they range in quality from genuine classics we still talk about to this day to hidden gems we've forgotten unfairly to genuinely some of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. But all those movies are kind of a snapshot of where culture was at the time they won because they won Oscars, because they were considered big and important enough to be Oscar nominees, because the Academy saw something in them, even if we don't totally get it. So the premise of this podcast is this. Every episode, I will randomly determine an Oscar-winning movie, get two volunteer guests to talk about it with me, and we'll chat. The discussions will be a little free-form, a little loose. The only requirement for guests is that one of the three of us, either myself or one of my guests, has to be watching the movie for the first time. At least one. Sometimes it's all three of us. That's fairly common, actually, because a lot of these movies are more obscure than you might think. I would like to note that a movie's inclusion is not a recommendation of its quality. I saw the TV Glow, my favorite movie of 2024, didn't get nominated for any Oscars, whereas Amelia Perez, one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen in my life, won two. It's also not an endorsement of anyone who won an Oscar or was in an Oscar-winning movie. People who are cruel or thoughtless or racist or other forms of bigoted or absolute monsters have won Oscars. We sure all have a laundry list of those kind of people who have won awards, and I don't like that. I don't think anyone else does, but I don't think it's helping any of us to pretend that it's not the case, to pretend that these people didn't win their awards, and to pretend these movies don't exist. Even monsters can make great art sometimes, and even good people can make terrible art, so we're gonna find out what kind of movies win Oscars together. It's gonna take a while to examine them all. A lot of movies have already won Oscars, and it's not like they're stopping doing ceremonies while I'm doing my podcast. So, I hope you want to come along. And with all of that in mind, I am your host, as always, Ellie McConaughey, and with me today is Justin Franklin.
I don't know if, dancing is a lot of physical activity. I don't know if I can dance the entire night away, but, maybe an hour and a half.
I feel like all those, like, I could have danced all night things are kind of missing, like, the part where you have to stop for, like, 10 minutes and go grab water or something. And Gillian.
Prison sucks. Don't go there.
Oh man, you just summed up the entirety of one of the movies we're covering. Dang.
Dang.
We're going to have to work really hard to go under the runtime of the films this week.
I think we combine them together because we are, as the title indicates, here to cover two movies, Scared Straight and He Makes Me Feel Like Dancin', two movies that won Best Documentary Feature at the 51st and 56th Academy Awards. And despite both of them being under an hour, and like, not like a little under an hour like Dumbo, like significantly under an hour, both of them apparently feature length. What? Okay.
That is. Were there any other feature length documentaries those years? Or
That's the thing, like, I was wondering, like, what the fuck happened to make these movies win Best Documentary? And, like, there are other legit documentaries nominated that year. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I do actually understand why Scared Straight won Best Documentary Feature. I don't understand why He Makes Me Feel Like Dancin' won Best Documentary Feature. I might, between these, the year where four different war propaganda films won, all shared Best Documentary Feature, and the fact that a miniseries on OJ won one year, I think I'm going to have to apply the minefield label to this award too. Jesus. Yeah, but like, just to like rip the band-aid off on Scared Straight, yes, it is just the thing that you've heard of, like the thing SNL was parodying, and B, it is like completely inextricable, in my opinion, from like the late 70s panic about crime.
My notes, I was like, is this? I didn't go to SNL immediately. I was like, is this where Prison Mike came from?
Yeah, all of those are making fun of this.
Ah,
I mean, some of them were making fun of the revivals or the spin-offs directly, like the very famous Adult Swim one of oh it smell like bitch in here, like that's from one of the parodies.
Yeah, it's a famous premise, I think. I was aware that it like was a premise where they took a bunch of kids to a prison to have a bunch of like troubled kids to a prison to have a bunch of prisoners like scream at them for 3 hours to like uh,
scare them straight, as the title suggests.
as the title suggests. I'm gonna again, we're ripping off band-aids here. It turned out once they did actual studies on it, didn't work at all. Actually might have made it worse, and I'm like, that's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, duh, idiots. But I was like, I wasn't aware there was a documentary. I wasn't aware that they got fucking Columbo involved.
Peter Falk, he needed a check, man.
He is. I don't think I've seen him in anything outside of Columbo.
Have you seen Muppets Take? Not Caper. Have you seen Great Muppet Caper?
Of course, I've seen Great Muppet Caper.
He's the guy Kermit's talking to on the bench.
Right, but like he's also still doing Columbo there. I don't know if he had other. Is he always someone like that? Or is that like a character voice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, like it's apparently like something of a landmark in television, not just for like the whole being a real thing that they just shot, but like apparently this was the first time the words fucking shit were played on a lot of networks.
There was a language warning at the beginning, which
It's extremely funny to me. Like I have in my notes, they warn you about the fuck and the shit, but they don't warn you about all of the gay slurs. And I was extremely amused by having to hear the sentence from Columbo. The prisoners taunt them with homosexual suggestions.
I mean, it's called Scared Straight, so I mean that's also the Arrested Development bit.
Yeah.
Or partially that Arrested Development bit.
I mean, like between Arrested Development and SNL and The Office, I'm not gonna lie to you, friends and or audience, I had a real trouble taking this one seriously.
At the end, when they're showing all the like number 12 straight, number 13 straight. If it was only that, never mind.
Oh no, Columbo, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm looking at that girl's like outfit. No, she's not straight.
It's like everyone either dresses like Hunter S. Thompson or a lesbian.
I mean, that's just the 70s.
Yeah, love 70s fashion.
Everything was wood paneling. Everything was spiritually wood paneling.
Bucket hats, tan.
I don't know to what degree this is art imitating life or life imitating art, but I did have in my notes that all of the girls, and there's only like 4 girls, but all of them do look like, you could put them in a group shot with the Lizzies from the Warriors, and they would fit right in. And then I just thought, man, I wish I was watching the Warriors instead. That one's not eligible because God is dead. But yeah, I really like. I have thoughts on this movie as like an artifact of 70s culture, particularly like the moral panic around crime and teenage crime in particular. I did not enjoy watching it at all. I did not find it informative or enlightening, which I guess.
I mean, that's sort of. I would extend that complaint to both of them, honestly. I mean, perhaps I'm not watching either of these in the best moods necessarily, but he makes me feel like dancing when it basically felt like a 40-minute ad. It felt like an infomercial about the school they were advertising, and I just could not. It felt really goddamn weird.
You're not you're not wrong, but I was still hooked because I'm a dirty theater kid who still loves, and this shit's like catnip, you know?
This is my podcast, and the official stance of the biggest night in podcasting is we do love and accept theater kids.
I'm what's known as the opposite of a triple threat. I can't act, I can't sing, and I'm awful at dancing.
Justin, I've seen you act. You can act. You shush. But no, like that was actually like the so to give the audience one of their periodic peeks behind the curtain. I did my rolls for this one, and I rolled up. He makes me feel like dance, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to cover this. This is a weird fucking movie to have won best documentary. But then I'm looking at the runtime, and like part of me is almost worried that like the Wikipedia entry is being a little misleading, and it's like a workout tape or something. I'm like, what the fuck? How am I getting an hour long episode out of this? So I looked a little bit more into it, and then I started looking into documentaries from the same time period. And what the connection that I drew, and I was like sitting there praying that I hadn't like misjudged this one, I didn't, got it in one, is that both of these are kind of less movies and more like lengthy advertisements for the thing that's happening in them. You know, Scared Straight is basically since its last 10 minutes, scream to the audience, you should do this in your own prisons. Drag your juvenile delinquents in to get screamed at by your prisoners.
The most important part about Scared Straight is how it has no major impact on taxpayers.
Thank you, McGruff.
And he makes me feel like Dancin is kind of like it spends a significant chunk of its time basically going, hey, don't you want to fund like dancing programs at your school? Look at how much fun these kids are having. Look how, and like another distressingly large chunk of its time watching like 80s 10-year-olds and occasionally adults being super defensive about how guys can learn dancing. Like it happens like 6 times in a row. I'm like, I get it, guys. I get it. Straight men can dance. I do understand.
The tutu will not undermine your masculinity. It looks.
If anything, I'm sitting here looking at Jacques Downbros going like, that dude's straight, and look at him. If I didn't know he was straight, if they didn't like mention his wife, I'd be like, that guy's gay. I don't know where I'm going with that.
The other connective tissue is learning that, of course, dancing cops are also part of ACAB, and of course, Scared Straight is spiritually cop on top of the.
Yeah, it is extreme. It is cop in movie form, extremely negative. ACAB includes Peter Falk, but only in this movie.
I have in my notes, I zone out for 5 minutes, and one of them saying that you're gonna be gay in prison. So
I'm getting out of prison.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like obviously we're kind of we're coming out Scared Straight like almost 50 years at this point since that was like the big cultural push. So we've had 50 years of you know people having this in the back of their mind, or like other sort of testimonial things, or like we live in a post Oz world. We know what the inside of prison is like.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept thinking of like I kept waiting for them to like bring out the booty warrior. I kept waiting for them to like bring out like like just some freak who would like, because they're all like trying to like one up each other about like the awful shit they're saying. And I'm like, okay, come on, we got to amp this up a bit.
No, like that's sort of like the thing. Like you're right, we're just shy of 50 years out from when Scared Straight. It came out in 78. So like it's 48 years out from Scared Straight. And like it is I wonder if we could like, obviously this isn't the genesis of it, but like I wonder if this is kind of where prison as a place where you are sexually assaulted became the image of prison that people have in their heads. You know, you go back and you watch like gangster movies from like the 50s and 60s, and they spend some of the time in prison. They're not talking about
Dropping the soap, or
yeah
not dropping the soap, I mean.
yeah like and like all of that's like, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen, because it does, and like we should. There's a large part of my notes that is just me getting lightly annoyed about how a lot of these dudes are like, "Hey, here are the institutional failings and abuses of the legal system as it exists. Are you scared yet?" And it really started to wear on me after a while. Honestly, the last guy they talked to, the guy with a really big afro, he was the closest to an emotional reaction like an intended emotional reaction I had to the film, because he was the only one who like seemed to recognize how badly the system had failed him on every level and to be kind of bitter about it. Like all of them are angry. He's the one who's like bitter and unhappy and doesn't seem to want to be here. So let's talk about like 12-year-olds learning to dance instead. I have no idea how to thread these two together. In my mind, they're very interlinked, but they are extremely different in the watching. Hey, that was Kevin Kline, wasn't it?
That was Kevin Kline. That was Mary Tyler Moore for a split second. That was Cheetah for a split second. I played.
Yeah, Gillian, you seem to know more about this Jacques guy than I do. Tell me about him.
Okay, so he was big in the New York City Ballet for a bit. If you've seen him in other places, you might have seen him. He is in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers as the guy in the green. I have a like particular interest in the D'Amboises because there is a like Charlotte because there is some tangential tangential things of words. Damn it, shit. Okay, so his daughter is married to Terrence Mann of Sense8 and Dresden Files fame. That is, and also Broadway fame.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I've also
You can talk about Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. We're eventually cover it, I suppose.
Eventually, I still have not seen it. I do not. It's like I've been dreading. I know it by reputation. I know that it is.
I mean, the other movie they mentioned on the Wikipedia page for this movie was Carousel, which is a movie I don't like at all.
Fair enough. He was in Carousel. Oh yeah, he did do the pas de deux, and it's a good pas de deux. I don't.
Go on. You can just tell me about dancing. I don't know shit about dancing. Tell me about it.
Okay, so it's good. I also don't like Carousel well, at least I don't like that Carousel. I can defend Carousel to some extent. I could not defend that movie, but also there's a whole lot of Hays Code shit that I mean, it is the Hays Code, and like I'm rambling, and this is not a podcast about Carousel. This is not a podcast.
We can talk about Carousel if you want. Part of the point of covering both of these together is I didn't feel like either of them were substantial enough on their own to warrant a whole episode. And while maybe I could like squeeze a whole episode out of Scared Straight if I really wanted to, I was 100% right about He Makes Me Feel Like Dancing. It is a highly insubstantial film.
It's fun. It's popcorn. It's cotton candy. It's popcorn that doesn't get in your teeth, but my brain is all over the place.
I love you, Gillian.
I've also been awake since like 5 a.m. So it's one of those days.
It's all about the he said, she said bullshit.
Yeah, to quote the man himself.
To quote the great philosopher Limp Bizkit.
Move in, now move out. Hands up, now hands down. Back up, back up. Show me what you're gonna do now. Keep rolling, 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 rolling.
Gillian, I love you.
The point that they kept like harping on in this, it's like, we want people who, are trying their best. You can't fail if you don't you can't fail if you're trying. It's like, these are good messages hypothetically to give children, but the problem is that they're also undermining that immediately because they're trying to also get to a level where they're comfortable performing to an audience. So if these kids were just completely utterly helpless, like, they wouldn't have been picked in the first place, or like, there's only so many spaces. That's one of the things they're doing. It's like, oh, so we if we could, we would accept everyone, but there's only so much room. But the there is a standard of quality we're trying to meet here. So, people can try, but if they're not meeting that standard, then they're not going to be in the show.
I mean, that's this contradiction at the core of all of those messages, and that is a decent message to teach to a kid. Is like you can't if you tried, you aren't really a failure, as opposed to having not like done it at all. But like that is inevitably gonna slam headlong into the issue with a lot of stuff like that kids are going to want to try, which is like, yeah, you can just sort of fail. And, you know,
And that's okay.
that's fine too. Like, I think we actually have to start teaching people in general, like, yeah, you're going to do a lot of shit in your life. You're going to suck at most of it. Do it anyway. Do it scared and do it bad.
Like the definition in my mind that has sort of been like a underlying philosophy that plagues most of my life is that failure when you're best just isn't good enough. And I understand that they're trying to like tone it down, or they're trying to like sell this product, or sell this institute, and they're trying to like show how fun it is, and they're trying to show how like lively everyone is, and they're trying to make it show like it's a good time. But again, there is a level of technical acumen that these children do need to hit. It's weird to me that they keep harping on. It's like, oh, we accept everyone. Like, we so long as you're trying, so long as you're doing a certain amount. It's like, well, no, obviously you want a certain amount of talent, or a certain amount of capability here.
Well, one of the things that sort of struck me about that, and this is me like I'm going to probably spend a lot of this episode in particular, and like episodes on documentaries and more broadly, kind of like teasing out the cultural elements of their time period out of them. And one of the things that sort of struck me as I was watching is like, okay, this is a talking point for kids. You know, it aired as an after school special. Both of these did actually, which is the other connection that sort of made me pick them to go together.
Yeah, if this like if this popped up as like a thing they would cut together during like Sesame Street, or Fred Rogers, or something along those lines, it's like, oh hey, let's go to the factory, let's go to the Dance Institute. Like it would completely match any of those.
Yeah. It won an Emmy for outstanding children's programming.
Right, and that is a perfectly cromulent place for it to be. It's a how do I put this without being it stands out as something odd when you put it in best documentary feature. And like that is not me slamming the best documentary feature. There are plenty of like here's some wildlife footage documentaries in there, and there's like, previous episode Marjo, which is an incredible movie. But this one kind of stands out as like, okay, what's this doing here? And the thought that I sort of had is like, okay, this movie comes out in '83 as like a talking point for like, hey, don't you want your school to have
An arts program.
a dance program, an
Yeah.
arts program in particular? Yes. In '83, we are pretty firmly in the Reagan era, which is around the time where arts programs at school started getting really hammered. Like we talk about the death of the arts program in in public school. The '80s is when it happened. This is when this started to happen, and it got worse, at least partially because no one really put reversing it on their priority list. And so like in that context, it becomes like they don't talk about it a lot, but they do have this like little bit right at the beginning where Jacques talks about how like if you introduce kids to the arts early, they're gonna love the arts their whole time. And in that context, uh, from if you assume that the Academy could see which way the wind was blowing, it does kind of start to make sense.
Or like, yeah, especially compared like the other stuff that got nominated. Like one of the I didn't have the chance to watch the other ones that were nominated, but
No, no, die.
like one of them is about what was the wording for this one? Like mentally ill, or like emotionally unstable children. And this is 83, so this is after Reagan shut down all of the mental health asylums. So would they have wanted to focus on a film that was sort of pointing out this consequence of doing that in an era of good feelings? This is still in a time where Reagan could do no wrong because the line was going up.
Yeah, like I feel like both of them are very much films of their era in that way. I said Scared Straight is pretty. It is a late '70s movie. It is a movie from the era where like people were starting to get really panicky about teenagers committing crimes or just like crime in general. An urban decay movie, and it is sort of interesting to hop forward 5 years where none of that shit went away. Urban decay didn't stop being a problem under the Reagan era. If anything, it got worse. But people just sort of decided they didn't care about it anymore because the line was going.
When was the peak of White Flight? Or like
I don't know if I don't know the exact peak, but like late '70s, early to mid '80s, somewhere in there.
mm.
It was rough. You can kind of see it in Scared Straight for a couple of minutes during the 20 seconds of the movie where they acknowledge. Also, yeah, here are all these like social reasons for crime. Shut up! Yell at your children.
Or like, yeah, they're showing kids like leaving their house and like they're walking by a pothole that the kid could probably fit up to their chest.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said, hopping over to this film's Wikipedia entry to find out that these like I feel like I'm gonna keep saying it because like your brain when you hear it's a documentary that won best documentary feature, your brain sort of feels there has to be more to this movie than like prisoners berating children for 3 hours in real life, and they've cut the footage down to about 45 minutes. No, that's it. 100% of their premise is what if we just screamed at children, and it turns out it doesn't help. Might make it worse. Like I looked it up, and apparently like it actually increased recidivism or something when you actually did the studies or something.
Yeah, it increases recidivism.
But Ellie, there's a 20 years later documentary, and most of them seem to be fine. I didn't watch it, but
The really cool part about the 20-year one was obviously they're interviewing each of the kids, and like they focus, like one of the kids they focus on was this guy Angelo. And it's like, oh look, he's living in suburbia, he has this giant absurd caterpillar mustache, he like has a family. He's just like, oh man, I'm on the straight and narrow. That's a it was a really pivotal time in my life. And then let's see, what was it, 2005, he gets arrested for like, I think it was shoplifting, they said. And they ran his DNA evidence and they connect him to a rape case from the 70s, and I think he got 12 years.
Mm.
So it's like, the one of the guys who they highlight, and they're like, straight, this guy's on the straight and narrow, they go forward 20 years, he's like, good upstanding citizen, a good proper man. And no, he was a rapist.
I mean, that's sort of the thing. Like, it doesn't. It would if you step outside of the like. I'm trying to think of a way to frame this. So like kids of my generation, which is to say that like I was born in 1990. So like kids of my generation are like the '90s kids are like I want to say like the first generation or where like or like the one of the first generations where like being physically abused was not the norm. Like I've cracked wise about my own growing up in ways that are probably not healthy for me, but whatever. But like it is very hard to overstate how much prior to like 19 mid to late 1980s just like physically harming your child was just like perfectly normal.
Like, it's usually the go-to, but the running gag in Simpsons since its inception is that Homer will just occasionally choke Bart out for whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right. And like that part of what makes that joke kind of land in its original context is, The Simpsons existed as a reaction to other family sitcoms of its era, notably the Cosby Show.
I was gonna say Leave It to Beaver, but that's too early.
That's way too early. Yeah, Family Matters is the other one. I think that
Jeffersons.
Jeffersons is a little earlier. No, the Cosby Show is unfortunately the juggernaut in this context.
The other direct one would be the one that HW brought up, the Waltons.
Yeah. Come on, brain, working here. Oh, okay, so like The Simpsons is a specific reaction to those shows. In particular, I think its original premise, and it is strayed so far from that premise that it's not really like worth examining the current Simpsons under this lens. But in the original couple of seasons, were like those shows are sanitized, whitewashed, which is very funny in Bill Cosby's case, in the Cosby Show's case, but never mind.
Oh, Punky Brewster?
Yeah, versions of reality. Here is the Simpsons, who are yellow cartoon people, and we are going to be more real about it. We are going to actually be like, no, Cosby, the character in the show, as well as I presume the person in real life, would not sit his son down to gently explain something to him when he did something wrong. He would smack him upside the head. And I think Bill Cosby himself would agree with that before the whole...
Cosby, yeah.
I mean, like, Bill Cosby, I don't...
Wait, California Suite was one of these seasons.
It was last June.
Same season as Scared Straight, so
Close enough.
yeah. We say award ceremony.
Oh my god, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, my third eye is opening. No, I got nothing.
Other.
I mean, like,
Donna Summer won an Oscar this season. This award ceremony for the Scared Straight one. That's fantastic.
Good, yeah, good for her. Honestly,
great for her. Last Dance is a bop.
Yeah, the 51st Academy Award is I don't want to say like a changeover year, because it hadn't quite become a changeover year, but like it is sort of. So you know how I said this on a previous episode that like the 80s didn't actually start until MTV started, but like the 70s kind of ended before the 70s actually ended, and I feel like this kind of like the last real 70s Oscars, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, I think. Yeah, that makes sense for being the 7th.
You know, we have another Oscars in the 70s where Kramer versus Kramer won Best Picture.
That's the season that's the award ceremony right after, so.
Yeah, but this year, the year that Scared Straight won Best Documentary and The Deer Hunter won Best Picture, it's like kind of the last 70s Oscars in that way. I don't know what that says about this Oscars. I haven't seen...
Nom was still looming large.
In people's brain. Yeah, I mean, Nom's gonna loom large for a hot minute. I mean, Scared Straight didn't exactly have much in the way of great competition either. Most of them appear to be nature docs, which the best documentary feature category is like, there's two eras of it. There's pre-Bowling for Columbine, and then there's post-Bowling for Columbine. And like, I've only ever been paying attention to the documentaries in general, or film in general, in a post-Columbine world. So like, looking back at them are always a little weird, you know?
One of these days we'll get something like what was that one called? Surviving Edged Weapons.
I'm real excited for... Hold up, let me find the one that I was like, how the fuck am I going to talk about this? I mean, like, this might be one of those things where I have to just sort of shrug and just not cover certain movies, because like, how am I going to cover Jacques Cousteau, World Without Sun? As best I can tell, 93 minutes of nature footage.
Fuck yeah.
We'll do a special episode on Manhattan. It'll be a 12-hour long episode trying to describe the New York sideline.
Wait, what the? Jesus Camp was the same year as Inconvenient Truth, a good movie according to Birdemic.
I will go to bat for An Inconvenient Truth. I will also go to bat for Jesus Camp.
Jesus Camp guy. That's where you get a lot of those cool Harry Potter as an enemy of God clips.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry Potter is an enemy of God, but not for the reasons they think it is.
How did they know?
I'm not going to say confused, but they got the spirit, but...
No, they...
No, they do have the spirit. The Holy
There's your double feature, Marjo and Jesus Camp.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck me. I'm just looking at the later documentaries and I'm remembering when 20 Feet from Stardom beat the act of killing. Explain yourself, Academy. Explain yourself. And we were talking about how the Vietnam is still looming large over the Oscars. Hey, look, there's the fog of war about Nam winning in 2003. Like, Vietnam is going to be a thing for a minute. But we are very off topic from these movies because they're not very substantial. Who wants to go scream at some children?
Not me.
I do have the note, and I don't know why I said this. Why does the opening ident of He Makes Me Feel Like Dancing make me think of Frasier? But that's the... Neither of these films are very well archived, in that they're poorly archived enough that they have fucking potato cam quality versions up on YouTube. Which is, I presume, how all three of us watched them.
Love potato cam. It is...
You don't got any of them pixels?
Delicious, yummy, beautiful pixels. So many pixels.
You know, everyone in their late 20s and mid 30s at this point, the proper way to watch any piece of media is broken up into 3 8-minute segments uploaded to YouTube.
That's especially the proper way to watch Naruto.
That's how I watched Fullmetal Alchemist. That's how I watched Trigun.
Lucky Star.
Also, speaking, if you're like...
Keikaku means plan.
Keikaku does mean plan. If you're like an 11 or 12-year-old boy, what you have to do is you have to watch Ranma 1/2 alone in your room and wonder why it makes you feel so weird, because there's no other way you're going to grow up into a proper adult woman.
There is still time.
There is still time. Shout out to my new intro, I guess.
Shout out to the new intro. Hey, teenage sex and death. Like teenage death.
Sex and death. Cat miasma, yeah.
Cat miasma. It's gonna be shown. That's gonna be shown, friends. That's gonna be your time.
It's gonna be their big Oscar winner. We are we are only a few days past the Oscars this year as we record this, and 2 different horror movies won Oscars there in the acting awards, no less. So I believe in us. We can get Jane Schoenbrunn Best Director.
I can't wait to be on the episode for Academy Award winning film F1, whatever the fuck that is.
All right, episode's over. Go home, everyone. I don't know, Justin. I figured you'd be the most... Like, it is, as far as I can tell, that movie is an extremely dad movie. But you're, like, too interesting to be that into a dad movie like that.
I'll commune with the spirits. I'll channel my own father and become the grease monkey he was. And I'll do what I can.
You could just wish you could be watching an Initial D instead.
True. If this was Redline, that would be something else.
Deja vu. I've just been in this place before.
Gillian, I love you. No, honestly, like the thought that the other thought that I sort of had, you mentioned the 20 years later, which, full disclosure to everyone, I'm not going to watch. I have finite time on this earth. I'm not giving any more to this. But like they do those exit interviews with the kids, and like knowing that this shit doesn't work kind of makes them honestly like the endings of both of these are a little bit tragic because like we know this shit doesn't work, but I also know that this kind of like attitude is gonna absolutely spread in a way that sort of pollutes the discourse on criminal justice reform well into the modern day. You know what I mean? The premise that crime is just like a choice that you make because you just love stealing. You know, everyone thinks that every criminal is Bender in that one episode of Futurama. I love stealing. I love taking things. Is the predominant attitude about crime, frankly, to this day.
It's like there are no societal pressures. You just get peer pressured into it because all the cool kids are shoplifting.
No, when I went to high school, the cool kids weren't shoplifting. Several of them were doing cocaine.
Oh, God.
At least one of them used his dad's connections to get himself sat next to a girl on a 6-hour flight. Shout out the ballerina farm
Oh,
husband
no.
whom I went to high school with.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. But
hey, you're not the one getting in trouble, getting in a scandal about drinking unpasteurized milk. So I think who's winning?
I think I'm gonna lie. I always think that I'm winning.
Yeah.
In this context, I get to be a transgender woman.
She may have clout, but you aren't drinking unpasteurized milk.
Yeah. No, come back, train of thought. But like, so that logic train is gonna spread. The crime is just like a choice you make because peer pressure, because like sounds like fun. But like I also know from having grown up in the 90s that like the push that he makes me feel like Dancin is trying to get the arts some of their like cred and funding back. It's failing. It's going to fail. Where we in fact did gut the arts and they did never really came back to public school.
Well, yeah, they had to give more money to the Scared Straight program.
How much of it, like, they're scared? There is a pipeline, or at least a correlation from Scared Straight to Dare. Is there?
I would consider that Venn diagram to, if not be just a circle, then at least a lot of overlap. It is the same logic train. Good catch, by the way. Which is like, they both sort of run into the same issue. Dare runs into the issue where like, you know, they both run into the issue where you're like, hey, impressionable youth, here is this thing that I did. You don't want to do this thing that I'm explaining to you how I did it in extreme detail. Don't do these drugs that I'm telling you about. And the kid is like, they're drugs? But Scared Straight is almost kind of worse because if you're like an already troubled, angry teenager and you get humiliated by some guy screaming in your face for 3 hours, man, you can't let that guy show you up like that. Fuck that guy.
or even like or even just exposing people to that environment, not necessarily that they're going to like it. It's, you know, they just might not care. They just might not feel that it's like, oh, well, you know, you're going to get jumped by like 6 dudes and like beaten into unconsciousness, but it's not going to happen to me because I'm great. Like,
Yeah.
or it's like, I can't wait to do that to someone else.
Everyone always thinks they're God's most special princess and the most interesting girl in the world, and no one is except for Jennifer English. So like, you're right, Justin. Like, everyone. It's gonna show these people that like none of this, and also like they're so hyperbolic and they repeat themselves so often that by the end, you know, I sitting here in my bed, taking notes on my laptop, and I'm like, they're full of shit. I can't imagine with 3 hours of this shit how much by the end all those kids are like, these guys are full of shit. They're lying to me. Not that I'm like defending any of those kids. Fuck that guy who was a rapist.
Yeah.
I can't believe that I had to like use my we do movies about awful people eat too, or with awful people in them too. For the fucking documentary, god damn it. Can anyone fucking behave?
No.
Ugh. This episode's getting to be a bummer. Gillian, throw me a palm.
He makes me feel like dancing. I wanna dance the night away.
There we go. See, I can always count on Gillian.
To completely crash the good vibes of the previous sentence, both the director and the oh god, his name was just in my mind. The main person. So I know it's directed by. It was just in my mind. Anyone younger than me listening to this, don't get older. It makes your mind turn into soup. I can hear my mind slosh around as I move my head.
You mean Arnold Shapiro or Emil Ardolino?
Emil.
Okay. Oh fuck, there's Scott Rudin. Oh fuck.
Oh, fuck.
No!
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about, Justin?
Scott goddamn Rudin. Fuck Scott Rudin. All my homies hate Scott Rudin.
Well, this is tangential to that, but Emil passed away in like the 90s, I think it said, right?
AIDS crisis? Sorry.
Yeah, he passed away in 93, and Jacques Ambrose, he passed away about 5-ish years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So we are as so often is the case because of linear time being everyone's friend, getting to the point where, you know, most of the people featured in both of these films have either passed away or will be relatively soon. Like even within like the me speed running the 20 years revisit, like 2 or 3 of the inmates they showed feature, it's like, oh, in the time span of even in that just 20 years, a couple of them had already died.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Emil Ardolino directed Dirty Dancing. Nice.
Yeah, future episode Dirty Dancing. Yes, it did. Best original song.
Yep. It lost to Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by...
No, it didn't. It won.
No, it won again. I was gonna say, it won over Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by 17-time award loser, Diane Warren.
Yeah. She's just never... It's just the bit now. She's going to live to 105 and never win an Oscar.
There was a tweet I saw earlier. It was like, imagine being Diane Warren. You write Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, and then somebody had to write I've Had the Time of My Life.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote Because You Love Me, and then somebody had to write When You Believe.
Mm-hmm. This year, her effort wasn't particularly strong, but like... No, I felt like slightly insulted having to like put an upset down for whatchamacallit, best original song, like it's golden or it's golden or it's golden. And that was my own format, so I have no one else to blame but myself. But yeah, no, yeah, Scott Rudin, man, that guy's just fucking everywhere, isn't he?
You write How Do I Live, and then My Heart Will Go On. Is that same year?
You're here. There's
nothing. Love Sully.
We are so far off topic because these movies are both kind of boring and kind of bummers, huh?
One is a bummer to watch. One feels like an advertisement, and then you think about it, and it becomes a bummer retroactively, even though it is nominally much more active.
Yeah, I'll give He Makes Me Feel Like Dancin' that. It doesn't like... It was not a bummer to watch. It was fine to watch. A little dull. It was work, and it felt like work, but I was not like... There have been a couple of movies where watching them was like pulling teeth. This was not one of them.
Also, gonna be that guy, you know, previously admitted I can't dance. I have no real interest in learning how to dance. Just gotta say, the show, not great.
It wasn't.
It seemed like people were having fun, I guess, but even though like I can't imagine how much longer that left, but like the 10 minutes they showed of that show that they ultimately put on, not great.
Well, but you know, bunch of 10-year-olds. It seemed like a fairly authentic version of a show that you'd put on with a bunch of 10-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, sincerely, I put on plenty of, you know, bullshit kids shows when I was like 7 to 11, you know, in that area. If Kevin Kline had showed up and announced one of mine, I'd have been over the goddamn moon.
Somewhere in my heart of hearts, like, you know what, it never would have happened. But the last the last 10 minutes of this movie become like, I don't know, like a stomp the yard, or like some, like um, like I don't know, Magic Mike, or like some sort
Step up.
of Step Up, or like some other dancing thing.
That would have been pretty good. How come we don't have best choreography Oscar so we can get one of those fucking movies on my goddamn?
There was a best dance direction, and almost all of them are either Ziegfeld or Broadway melodies.
Yeah, I can't dance. I'm not going to judge any of these kids. I can't dance either.
Well, and the Folly Bergera. Ooh, nice.
Whoever of the people vying to finally drags me off to the altar is going to find out. No, we're not having a first dance. I don't dance. Sorry.
I do what I do the patented Fat Man two step, where I put my weight on one of my legs, and then I just kind of like balance there for a second, and then I put my weight on my other leg, and I just sort of do that repeatedly until the song stops.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose I might actually be able to dance more in public if I drank, which I don't. So like, we are very off topic. I was like sitting there. I was wondering, like, it's a little shit to like. You've got all these 10-year-olds doing their dance, and that's like fun. You drag some fucking NYPD into to dance in there, and that's like, okay, sure, why not? Fuck it. So they can also be extremely defensive about guys being allowed to learn to dance.
Cops can be quirked up white boys with a little soul too. Everyone feels this music.
And they seem to be goated with the sauce,
Fuck me. But like, then they also have like a segment where they stop to let Jacques' son and another trained dancer do a dance. I'm like, this is a little like mean, right? Like, this is like, you have a game between two like little leagues players, and then in between it, the Yankees come out and do an inning. And then something like I don't remember what it was, but something about like, oh, this is saying to the parents, hey, if you let your kids stick with this, look what they could eventually be capable of, huh? Because like Jacques can't do that because like even though he clearly still loves ballet, there is a brief moment where he's like, yeah, doing ballet fucked me up, man. What was it, like 4 surgeries on his legs? Christ.
Yeah.
And then he starts like having to detail all the damage his body went under, and they start emphasizing that on in the filmmaking. And then he changes it to Natalie Portman for some reason. I think I might have passed out or changed discs or something.
Yeah, it suddenly became Princess Tutu, and like, yeah, it's
Princess Tutu mention! Oh my god! Fuck yeah!
Gillian, I love you. Just break Gillian, Jesus.
I wasn't trying. Sorry.
You never are. That's what makes you so great. So should I watch Columbo? I guess would be the real question. I'm watching MASH because I watched MASH the movie for another episode, and let's like.
Did River also hold you at gunpoint, or no? Or
No, I would just like, I've had MASH the movie and MASH the TV show on my, oh yeah, I should watch that list for forever. And since I watched the movie, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch the fucking show. I'm gonna finally do it. So like, should I do that for Columbo too? Should I just go watch Columbo?
Columbo's a good time.
I made a McGruff joke earlier, and also, you know what? I'm surprised Peter Falk did not voice McGruff.
Is McGruff Columbo's persona?
Maybe.
Is the greatest thread in the history of something awful locked after 4,000 pages of heated debate?
I thought that was Grover House. Or the Doom Bathroom.
No, actually, I think Crazy Jake's walk might be the best thread in the history of something awful. But they're all good, even if we can't refer to the owners, but the members by their chosen name anymore, because that word's been taken over.
Speaking of something awful, the last 10 minutes of Scared Straight, which was them trying to like sell the concept.
Mm-hmm.
I like how like the superintendent of the prison was trying to like well, for one thing, he emphasized it just kind of like, to a certain degree, the inmates care more about the students than I do. which he probably doesn't want to phrase it like that. But for 2, like, how much are they, because some of it, I'm not going to say choreographed, but like, with some of the testimonials, let's call them, of the inmates sort of like going through their routine, it's like, did they practice this? Like, did they, like, during mess hall, did they just have to like go into a room and like talk about it for like an hour? Like, like, because they don't want to step on each other's toes, right? Like, how much planning went into this 3-hour session?
They almost certainly have rehearsals. I am very much imagining like Sing Sing, where they're all getting together to like practice their shouting. Like, no, I need you to hit the beat your ass harder. Like hit that line hard. Jesus Christ. Honestly, like they make a lot of noise about this whole thing being the prisoner's idea, which I don't know if that's true.
No, I doubt it.
Yeah, it does seem like the sort of thing a terminally cop-brained person would come up with, and prison guards are cops. Just like that's just it. Both in the structural sense and in the you shouldn't fuck them sense.
Yeah, also something Stanford Prison Experiment. I don't know.
Stanford Prison Experiment was bad, but
Yeah, hot take, y'all. Not.
not a good study. But no, like structurally, prison guards are just cops. So like it feels like a terminally cop brain thing. I actually don't know if that means the prisoners didn't come up with it. I feel like if you're in prison for a certain amount of time, that does sort of start to rub off on you. But like it's very clear to me that the prisoners do actually care about this. They're not getting anything for it. So like I don't know. That honestly kind of makes me feel worse. Like again, like the last guy is the one who actually got to me because he seems to realize how badly he got screwed by the system and how much that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, anyone, before this gets even more depressing?
For the uninformed listeners who are not aware of the Something Awful forums, they refer to themselves as goons. Make of that what you will.
And for the uninformed listeners, forums are kind of like social media, but before Facebook.
And better.
Facebook is the social media that existed before Twitter. Twitter was what we called X.
X was the place you were on before you moved to TikTok and Instagram. And if you're listening to this in, I presume, like 6 months, TikTok and Instagram is where you were before you're wherever you are now. I'll follow you most places, just not Threads. I'm not going to Threads. You can't actually make me. If Threads is the next big one, I'm just gone. I'm just gone. Just signing off.
Uh, we're gonna bring back Dig. We're gonna bring back
MySpace. We're bringing back MySpace.
We're bringing back LiveJournal, or at least
It's all coming up MySpace, Tom.
After those changes to Discord happen, we're gonna go to MSN. Everyone's gonna love it.
Hell.
And you know what? You know what, everyone? Say what you will about forums. Say what you will about the Something Awful forums. I can say that they have this over Facebook. They never caused a genocide in Myanmar.
Exactly.
Exactly. Gillian, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Speaking of social media, I am Cutie Puppy Fire on there. Yeah. That would be.
They are a delight on social media as they are on my podcast. Justin, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
On the inside, we got needs. Booty. It was more important than water. It was more important than food. So I guess if you want to call that,
Don't have sex, or you will get pregnant and die.
even within my broad recontextualization of what plugging is, I'm not sure if I want to count the Booty Warrior as plug.
Oh, Jesus Christ. back in. We're okay.
Okay.
As always, our host can be found on Blue Sky, Medium, and Letterboxd at LSR42, and on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos. This podcast can be found on both YouTube and Spotify. If you liked what you heard, maybe give us a comment and tell us what you liked, or just like the video if it's on YouTube. Subscribe. Make sure you get new episodes. They come out every other Wednesday as of right now. And if you didn't like what you heard, I'm sorry. Thank you to both Justin and Gillian for coming out. Sorry these movies weren't very interesting, but we managed to get a little something out of them, I feel.
Yeah, wasn't something awful, but...
But for our next episode, we're going a little ways back further than either of these, to a movie that, like, every single part of its Wikipedia page seems to indicate it's, like, one of the most beloved films of all time, and I've never fucking heard of it. So next time, we're going to be talking about the Lavender Hill Mob. Hope to see you there.
See you there.
I'm Prison Mike. You know why they call me Prison Mike?